What's going on, guys? It's Bugas here, and today we're gonna do something a little bit different. For the past year, as you probably know, I've been making dinosaur documentary reviews that are made by big companies, BBC, Discovery Channel, etc, etc. But today, we are instead going to dive into the world of fan-made documentaries. This one in particular is titled The Truth About Dinosaurs, not to be confused with The Truth About Killer Dinosaurs, and it's actually made by one of my subscribers, like the Tyrannosaurus Rex. So go to his channel, which I've linked in the description, to check out the full documentary. Anyways, let's see if a fan-made documentary can stack up to an official one. A Truth About Dinosaurs basically retells the history of the dinosaurs. But what's interesting is that instead of going through it from an evolutionary standpoint, it goes through it from a creationist standpoint. It takes footage and images from other documentaries and from the internet, I presume, and re-edits them to tell this tale. So before I even start, I should say that since this has huge influences from the story of creation and religious texts, I should preface that I am far from an expert, and I guess by extension I'm not even that religious to begin with. And so if throughout this video I sound like I don't know what I'm talking about in terms of, the religious stuff, that's because I don't. Anyways, the documentary starts in 6000 BC and introduces the premise before showing us the first dinosaurs God created, including Eoraptor, Allosaurus, Megalosaurus, etc. It also shows the creation of the first human to protect the dinosaurs, Adam. This episode serves as an introduction to the documentary, and I'll be entirely honest, I was kinda confused at first when it just started listing of dinosaurs. I think it would have been better to first establish that these are God's first dinosaurs before starting to list them off. Because at first it introduces Eoraptor, and so I thought, oh, this would be the substitute for Adam. But then it listed off Allosaurus and Megalosaurus, and then I thought that, oh, this was a series of dinosaur firsts. But then it started to list off several other ones, and I was just really confused how all these dinosaurs connected to each other. Also, there's something about the narration telling us actual facts about the dinosaurs, while also telling us God created them. I don't know if it's just me, but it was kind of off-putting. Episode 2 starts off by focusing on the Adam and Eve story before jumping to see a bunch of dinosaurs living peacefully in the Garden of Eden. It then goes back to Adam and Eve until the forbidden fruit part. Not gonna lie, this episode does feel kind of repetitive. I get that the documentary wanted to emphasize the peace in the Garden of Eden and all the dinosaurs in it, but the narration constantly saying that, the dinosaurs are eating plants or drinking water peacefully does get very repetitive. Honestly, I think it would have been better to not have narration at all, and just let the visuals speak for themselves. Like, I thought this was gonna be completely void of narration at first. Also, the sound effects are way too loud, and at points I could barely hear what the narrator was even saying. The third episode is basically a montage of how the eating of the forbidden fruit is causing chaos to occur, and honestly, I actually quite like it. It's very simple, but it works in conveying the point, and the montage approach really does emphasize the point even further. I also do like how it took my advice from the previous segment and just omitted the narration altogether. For what it's trying to go for, it did it surprisingly well despite the very obvious simplicity and the almost one-note feel of the episode. Episode 4 starts with a dream sequence that subsequently jumps to this guy who's apparently looking for his grandfather or something. I don't know. I don't know what's going on in this part. Then we get the opening T-Rex battle from Dinosaur Revolution, and then we basically get the events of the Great Flood with dinosaur scenes interweaved. I'll be entirely honest, throughout the first half of this episode, I had trouble figuring out what was even happening and how these clips connected to each other. And by the end, I somewhat kinda get it, but it would have been nice to have at least slight context for what was going on. Also, I think you missed a trick here by not using the tsunami scene from Dinosaur Planet. The final episode begins with Noah talking to... Okay, I legit have no idea who this is. I'm sorry. Although, is that Emma Watson? Afterwards, we get a montage of different clips of dinosaurs throughout the ages. Again, I don't really understand the context here, and here we also get the narration back, and unfortunately, it's still repetitive. Also, the series ends sort of abruptly, and I don't know, it felt just really weird. Like, it didn't really feel like it had a proper conclusion, so it just ends with me feeling a bit unsatisfied and confused, in all honesty. You know what? For a first attempt in making a documentary series, it's not that egregious. The documentary is edited really well for the most part, and there's a lot of interesting and unique concepts and ideas. However, there are also a lot of problems. And Rexy, if you're watching, take what I'm about to say more as advice for any future projects rather than me ripping into your documentary. Because honestly, the fact that you even made this and the amount of effort you put into this is astounding in and of itself. First thing is that while the series had a lot of interesting concepts, they aren't really connected all that greatly. At times it feels like there's a lack of context of what is going on, and yes, while that also may be due to my severe lack of knowledge of the religious aspects, there are also some scenes of the dinosaurs that I just also didn't understand. Another thing is that I really wish the dinosaurs were more of the central focus. Like, sure, they were in it, but they aren't really the focus and end up feeling more like an add-on rather than, the main centerpiece. Thirdly, the documentary didn't really inform me of the title of the thing, which, is The Truth About Dinosaurs, and I didn't really get an answer to the truth about dinosaurs. Or at least, not a satisfactory answer, if that makes sense. The series also didn't really feel like a documentary because at no point I felt like I was learning something, and it felt more like a traditional narrative. Now, as that, it worked effectively, but I think it would have been better to advertise it as something more akin to Dinotasia rather than Dinosaur Revolution. Because, like I said, as a narrative film, it works really well, but as a documentary, it really doesn't. One last thing I want to bring up is that I felt like you could have very easily condensed a lot of it. Like episodes 1, 2, and 3, I felt like could have been condensed to a single episode. The way it is now, it feels like the story is progressing really slowly. But despite everything I've said, I still think you did a great job, and for the first documentary you've ever made too. This is very good when you look at it from that lens. At the end of the day, this video serves more as a guide on what to improve for future projects, and I think if you do improve on some of the aspects I talked about, the next project you make will be a huge step up. Because as it stands, take it more as a stepping stone for which you can build a greater foundation upon. Now, I was debating whether or not to even put this on the tier list since it's not really the same thing as every other documentary on the tier list, but I also felt like it shouldn't be judged under that same scope because, like I said, it's not really the same thing. But then I decided, what, let's just see this as further motivation to improve on your project, Rexy. So, quality-wise, I give a 3.5. Positives, it has very great editing and a lot of very interesting concept. But, there are a lot of flaws with it, and I'm not even going to go into it because I already talked about it in the conclusion segment. And the one thing I will say, though, about all the flaws is that they're not too egregious, and they are also very, like, you can improve them and they don't outright make the series bad by any means. They're just like several flaws that you could fix in the future, for future projects and stuff. Entertainment wise, I give it a 3. It has a lot of interesting ideas, but they aren't really made to be entertaining like by their nature. But I wouldn't say that it's boring. Like episode 3 in particular is really entertaining. I just don't think the whole series was really meant to be, I don't know, a piece of like pure entertainment, like Chase by Sequels or something. That's what I compare entertainment with, really. Rewatchability wise, I give it a 3.5. It's only like what 40 to 45 minutes ish, like for the whole 5 episodes, and the episodes themselves are really short, and so it does feel like you're going through it faster. But I honestly don't see much of a reason to revisit it outside of like re-exploring the concepts and maybe like I guess for Recti specifically, taking well, I guess improving on this kind of base template because this is your first documentary. And as for my personal opinion, I give it a 4. It was definitely an interesting experience to watch, and okay, I'll be honest, I was really hyped when I saw the trailer for the first time. So yeah, I do kind of have that to it. But it also, I think the other thing that has kind of I don't know, resonated with me the most is that it shows the potential of fan-made documentaries, and I think it's worth exploring. It's definitely a field of dinosaur stuff that's worth exploring, and that gives it a total score of 14, putting it at the very bottom of a B tier. But at at the if at the very least, still be Monsters Resurrected. So good job on that one. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. And yes, I am recording this at night because I've been well, I wasn't technically gone all day, but like I was just out and about. So and I'll be honest. The real reason I'm recording this at night because I haven't actually really recovered from my holiday laziness. So yeah, thank God the episodes are actually really short, so I didn't have to like because like by the time where I normally should be recording, I've only watched 3 episodes, so I need to finish it. So yeah, that's why I'm recording this time. But anyways, that's not really important. But what is important is that it was actually a really interesting experience for me to watch this documentary because I didn't honestly know what to expect. Like the trailers got me really hyped, but I honestly didn't know what to even expect. And it has got me intrigued to do my own fan-made documentary. I might do it for like an end of the year thing, but it's not final, and I'm still having my self-doubts about it. So, but I guess yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I do decide to do it, then I'll probably come at the end of the year, like the final video of December or something. Um, but I do want to say for Rexy Burnsley, great job on you did such a fantastic job with this documentary. Even though I did point out a lot of the flaws, like I said, considering it more as kind of advice for future projects rather than actual like proper critiques. Well, I guess you could also kind of ask critiques, but you know what I mean. And keep making these stuff. These I think there's definitely potential for you to make to reach even greater heights with more projects and stuff. So yeah, keep doing what you're doing basically. And yeah, I guess that's the end of the video. Did I say it? Yeah, I'm just gonna say it again. Alright, enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like, subscribe. I'll see you in the next video.